Yes, we're back with a Celtic unrestricted view. It's JP, your hostess for the mostest, unfortunately for some, as they say. Joining me tonight are two very special people. Well, one very special people, and also Barry Bannan's joining us as well. But no, I'm only kidding. Debutant boy tonight, folks. As I said, the big announcement, the news it broke yesterday. Mr. Barry Bannan, the Sheffield Wednesday captain, saying that he's not got Sheffield Wednesday colours on tonight, which I love to see, and he's got a nice Celtic top on as well, and the new one as well. Absolutely brilliant, mate. Um, Listen, mate, glad this is you now as a regular with the boys, mate. It's good to have you on, mate, and I hope you're well, boys.
Cheers. Thanks for having me again. Making it permanent fixture. Can't wait to see my first wage packet coming through the door.
Definitely.
I love obviously talking about football and talking about Celtic and seeing your faces again. So I'm happy to make it a permanent fixture, and I'm looking forward to it through the season.
I'm actually glad. I'm really buzzing now that you've just said that you're looking forward to seeing my face, mate. I'm going to replay that time and time again on a big telly so the missus can see that, because nobody else really says that to me, mate. So thanks very much. And joining us also is a nice shining bright green top, our very own Mr. Andy Gray. It's nice to see that you and the hairbrush have fell out again, mate. It's good on you.
Mate, I follow with it these days. So, as I said, the Mac 3, the hairbrush, Tinder, anything these days, mate, you know what I mean? So, but no, like you said, starting the pod, mate, there'll be Barry Simon, mate. It's fantastic to see his knowledge and insights, not just for us, mate, but for the fans as well who don't get the privilege to know what happens behind the scenes and how players are feeling, etc. So, it's amazing to have that, mate. And I don't know about Barry's about wages because I'm like horrible, so I don't know what he's getting, mate.
Well, I've had to dig a bit deeper to get a man like himself on, mate. So I've had to
few denim jackets.
A few denim jackets, aye.
A few of these fizzy colour bottles.
That's it, mate. This time next year, Baz will have a pair of these on and all, mate. Don't you worry about it. He'll be starting out at Savoy hand in hand this time next year.
That's the best I've seen him.
Probably is, don't know.
Aye, he scrubs up well, Baz, doesn't he? I can't get out of the boots, man. It's the boots that throw me every time, man. Honest to God.
Jumping about with wee hoopy shoes on, man.
Brilliant. Everybody's going to start asking us, is our Andy Gray hoopy really? Is he hoopy? He's definitely kicking about his shoes on. I don't know. He could be Heidi. Who knows? I don't know. He could be that one as well. Who knows? We'll leave that one. He's maybe find out in the 10:30 show. He might unveil all the big secrets. But couple of wee comments in, guys. Ann Jem joining us on the YouTube has said, "Evening, folks. Great to read the news about Barry B joining you guys. Also has to be good for the podcast going forward." Absolutely. Our very own Mr. Alec Beveridge is joining us also. He's replying to Ann Jem right enough. He says, "Ann Jem, it's amazing news to have someone like Barry join. I take it this will be my last night with all the comments that's coming in and out. So obviously people looking forward to other people mailing me. That's disgraceful. That's absolutely blasphemy on this, I'm afraid, folks. So Jerry H has said, "Evening all." Evening, Jerry. You'll get to know Jerry Baz as we go, mate. He's been the quiz master the last wee while, mate. He's normally quite good at unveiling who the mystery people are when we do the wee quizzes, mate. I don't know if you've seen that, have you, Buzz?
I seen it the other day with the one for me. I seen the picture thing.
Aye.
Is it Jerry does it?
Jerry's quite good at all the answers. So what we do is we put former Celtic players up and we blur out their faces, and we've got the real photo sitting there waiting to when people get it right, and then we unveil who they are. Very good man himself, and Mr. Poster and Mr. Banner. Not Bannan, Banner. Evening, boys, he says. Francis Lester. That's your man there, guys. If you want to get any posters, banners, leaflets, fridge magnets, pretty sure he does other things as well. He's a bit like Bev. Bev's into bar mitzvahs and DJing for everybody nowadays, so he's definitely good man as well, Ryan. Obviously, he done us a big turn there for the live event, mate. So it's good to. Again, it was good to see Francis. It's good to have him back on and commenting. Corvo on joining us as well, lads. Big up, lads, he says. Evening, Corvo. Now, Corvo's a Newcastle fan, Baz, as you probably see his profile picture there, mate. And he takes the time to come away from Newcastle and tunes into the chat about the best team in the world. So good for Corvo. Good on you, mate. Right, lads, we'll just get right into it. Bazzer, I'll come to you first, mate. We all watched the game last night. James Forrest Testimonial. I think we were all thinking the same thing as when was James Forrest going to get on for his testimonial, because that's the way it kind of seemed a wee bit. He just wasn't in the game. He just the play just wasn't getting done his way, and the bits and bobs that he tried to get involved with, that it wasn't sort of happening for him. No one to run the guy down or anything like that, but it just didn't happen the way James would have probably envisaged in his own head, mate. But as I say, mate, what's your overall thoughts in terms of how Celtic are looking, and also some of the new faces trying to find their feet in the team, mate?
First and foremost, I think you've got to take your hat off to James Forrest for what he's done at that football club. I think Celtic put something out yesterday, and you have to keep looking at it because you can't actually believe how many trophies and appearances and goals and assists the guy's done for Celtic. And I think that kind of goes under the radar a wee bit because he's tailed off probably the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
And you tend to probably forget how good a player he has been for that club. For me, in my time of living, he's probably not been one of the best players, but actual achievements and winning trophies, he's probably up there with the best. So I've got to say, what an unbelievable career, and he's done something that loads of people out there would love to do, and he's done it very, very well. So hats off to him, and congratulations on a great career for Celtic. Like you said last night, he probably wanted to score a goal, probably trying a wee bit too hard as it's your testimonial. All eyes are on him. And the occasion probably got the better of him last night. I don't think Celtic, not just Jamesy, but the Celtic team done themselves much justice in the first half. I think they were sloppy. I know they've been abroad and coming back, and time differences and all that could have been playing a part last night, but I don't think they were up to speed the first half. I think they gave away a few sloppy passes in dangerous areas. And don't get me wrong, that team, Athletic, were brilliant. You could see how good technically they were as well. You got to take your hat off to them. I thought they forced us into errors and capitalised, and could have capitalised a bit more. But I don't think Celtic were at the races last night in the first half, but I think you can still see bits and bobs that Brendan's done. The thing that struck me was it's no so much phases anymore. We're a bit more direct and getting into the front quicker. You can see Kyogo playing a big part in the game now, whereas last season he was told to probably stay away from it, stay in the box. He's drat him in now and giving defenders all sorts of problems because they don't know whether to stick or twist. They come with him. Maeda's running in behind. So you can see wee bits that Brendan's added, and you can see that they've done really well. I think last season, I don't know about yours, but I think the same as the first season we had as well. Towards the end of that first season, they got a bit, no boring, but it was just that, where they're keeping the ball for the sake of it. I think this Celtic team under Brendan, they won't be like that. I think they'll keep the ball and try to dominate possession, but I think they'll have a purpose to their play, and they'll want to hurt teams a lot more than that Celtic team done last season. You can see with Greg Taylor, sometimes he's getting the ball and just playing it in behind the fullback, and Maeda's off. That never really happened until the final third last season, but we're doing it in our own half now when teams are high. I remember watching the Wolves game, and the amount of times they get in behind Wolves in the first 30 minutes was unbelievable. So you can see bits that Brendan's brought in, and it all makes for good reading. I think the new signings, I think the big man at the centre-back, Naroki, took him a few, probably couple of minutes to settle, and then after that I thought he never put a foot wrong, looked comfortable in the ball, moved the ball at a good tempo, and the thing that struck me with him was his passing was always the right side of the other person receiving it in front of them to attack, and just the small details, but makes a massive difference in football, where you can get centre-halves who pass it, but it's behind the other centre-half, it slows down the play. I thought his attention on passing the ball, his detail of passing was brilliant. So I like the look of him. I think the big boy Quan struggled last night. But listen, you're coming to play in front of 60,000 people at Celtic Park or whatever it was. It's a daunting task for anybody, especially your first game when you want to go out and impress and hit the ground running. It's tough. So you can see at certain points of the game where he was on the half turn and getting out of trouble and making nice passes that he's obviously got ability. But I think on the overall last night he did struggle. But like I said, he's only in the door. And he'll get better and better as he takes to Brendan's ways and gets fitter. I thought the new boy Home came on in the second half and he was brilliant. I thought Celtic were a lot better in the second half, not just the new boys. I think Turnbull was brilliant as well last night. He looks as if he's come back a new man, as does Daiz Maeda. And the good thing about that is, as well, is different managers bring out the best in different players. So Ange might have no suited Turnbull because he was probably front foot pressing and that didn't really suit Turnbull, whereas Brendan, you can see Celtic they still press, but they've got a low block, a medium block as well from watching them, and that could suit Turnbull. I thought he was brilliant last night and changed the game with Matt O'Reilly. So I thought the midfield three in the second half were brilliant, as was I like the look of the new boy Yang in the right. I thought it took him about 10-15 minutes. He probably tried to soak up the occasion as well, and then he came into his own. Thought it looks as if we've got a player there. But no, I thought it was a good run out. I think they looked fitter. I watched them a few weeks ago when they played the Mariners, I think, and you could see they were a wee bit off it, but they look a lot fitter last night and look as if they're ready to go on Saturday when called upon.
Wow. I think that's all we've got time for tonight, man. That was mental. That was well summed up, mate. Honestly, and everybody's guessing why you're on this podcast, mate. That's why we've invited you onto the podcast, mate, because we're probably going to call you the new Andy Gray, you know what I mean? You can just take it away, mate, and I'll go and make a cup of tea and you give us a shout when you're ready to let us back in. I'm only kidding. But
all the viewers have fell asleep and dropped down.
All the viewers, we've lost 544 viewers just as you finished there, mate. So it's no good reading, mate. We might need to, the football monitoring board's telling me now it might be a last night, so we'll see what happens. But no, listen, Ryan, I don't think, personally, mate, I don't think the game last night, and by the way, that was a wee bit of humour for myself. I wasn't trying to down James Forrest at all in any way, shape or form. That was just a wee bit of humour because it just seemed like he just couldn't get into the game at all. The game just kind of bypassed him in a way. I think the best thing he done was get man of the match, and in terms of, you know, for the whole, because it just went to a point where he wasn't in the game, and that again the play was done elsewhere. It wasn't it was coming through the centre rather than going out wide to him, and as I say, but I think Baz sums it up perfectly there, Ryan, in terms of the achievement on its own, mate. The amount of games he's played, the amount of trophies he's won, and obviously the occasions for him as well. And then the team we played against last night, they're a very good side, and you can understand why. And then Baz sums it up perfectly with a couple of individuals for the team, mate. But what was your overall take on it, mate?
Similar to what Baz has said there, mate. The first half wasn't great viewing. Some of the passes, even Hatate, normally doesn't do stuff like that, but recently he's been getting it away more. Is his eye after the ball? We don't know, but the first half wasn't great, but the second half was night and day. I don't want to say more hungrier, but the second team just looked fresher, they looked fitter, they looked right on top of the game, and it was a total different change of pace, intensity, and I agree with, I know you're saying about humour, mate, but as much as his accolades are, he has probably on his way out to Celtic now in terms of playing a route with Celtic and maybe stuff like that. Because
oh my God, I said he wasn't in the game, man. Now he's on his road out, man. He's got his jaws made up, Baz, already, man. He's got his P45 sitting there.
Listen, here to tell the truth, mate, in his opinions, and I think James knows himself. For an interview he said the other day, he said, I'll try and contribute, I'll try and play. I think he knows himself, he's been back down the pecking order. But that's due to just injuries, confidence, and he's getting older as well, and he knows football moves on as well. Football's not what he was when he was 21. He's 31 now, so... but, like I said the other night, what I think about him in terms of... I've never been his biggest fan, but take away what I think about him, it kind of doesn't make sense because, like Baz says, to be at Celtic for all that time, to go through a youth system at Celtic, you need to be absolutely exceptional. Because very rarely now do you get a guy who plays the first team, but never mind playing the first team for so long. It's very, very few and far between for guys to stay in the team and play. So his accolades and to win, like I said the other night, some guys don't win anything in their career. They might get money, they might get the fame, but they don't get what you play football for, is to win games and win trophies. And some guys don't get that, mate. So he's done that in abundance. He's been trebles, quadruple trebles, Champions League, everything. He's done everything in the game, basically, apart from winning 2 or 3 major trophies in terms of the Champions League, World Cups, etc. He's done just about everything else in the game, especially with Celtic. So I take my hat off to him, mate, because like I say to you, it doesn't matter if it's amateur or junior or professional. To live your life like that every day. Similar to Baz now, he's just a football player. He's living football player off the park. So you've got to be good off the park and off the park. And to do that consistently at the level Baz is doing and the level Forrest has done, mate, it's a hell of a lot. I don't think some fans realise how hard it is to do that day in, like I say to you, to go up at training, go and do the same thing every day, to strive for the same thing. So it's amazing, mate. And on the game itself, like Baz says, I thought the team were very good. It was probably a good opponent to play, considering we're playing on Saturday for fitness and to test us. And I thought done okay, especially the second half. But you can see maybe in a full competitive game, I know it was a competitive game, but if it was like a Champions League game or something, it'd be a very, very tough test against them. Very, very good team. I'm going to echo Baz with Boy Home. He was probably the guy I was most impressed with last night with the new signings. I just thought he's Cam McGregor on the back. Just what he was doing. He was neat and tidy, and he was just picking up wee things and turning and a half turn, and I love that. And I know he's highly rated, but you can see why he's highly rated.
Yeah.
The boy Quan, I've got big kind of expectations of the boy for what I've seen against him against Wolves. I thought he was brilliant, strong, he was nasty in their faces. And I do agree with Baz that I just think yesterday, he was like a wee cat. When the headlights of the road, he was just absolutely out of the place. He's passing, just nerves. I think he was just trying too hard. But listen, it happens. To play in front of that crowd, make your debut, it must be very hard at Celtic Park. So I'm going to give him that one. But if it continues, then we're going to start judging. But overall, as a whole, mate, it was a good exercise for the players. It was good to obviously see the turnout for Forrest as well. And I don't know what you think as well, JP, but I agree with Baz on Turnbull. I rate Turnbull highly. I've said it here plenty of times. He's just unfortunate guys like O'Reilly, Hatate, McGregor are just a bit better than him. But he's come back looking fitter, looking stronger. And I feel if he's going to get a new deal, maybe after this season, he's probably need to show something soon. Because you yourself, JP, clubs think about things far, far in advance. And if he's going to maybe play well with Celtic or get a new deal, you'll probably tell in the next few months if that's going to be the case.
Aye, I would say so, mate. Just to echo what the two are saying in terms of Forrest's achievements, mate, it's absolutely breathtaking. It's frightening. You know, I'm actually looking at him and I'm thinking to myself, why is his biceps no bigger? The amount of trophies he's lifted through the years, you know what I mean? The amount of bicep curls and shoulder presses he's done with 8 trophies, I'm surprised his arms aren't bigger. I really am. Same with Callum McGregor, the amount of trophies he's won as well. So that's a big surprise to me, definitely. But in terms of Forrest overall, I think you can't say he's not been successful because, you know, he's been a big contributor. He scored a lot of important goals for us as well through the years. But I would agree in terms of the new. I think he's going to find his game time very limited now because there's other guys there who are different type of options. They bring a bit more quality in about the team and probably do it on a more consistent basis without picking up injuries, because that seems to be the last couple of years. James is, you know, he's had 1 or 2 injuries, and just as he's getting going, he gets himself injured again. So it's kind of stop and start for him. But I do think, you know, I think James knows himself. I think you're spot on, Ryan, in terms of your honesty there with his comments. I picked up that myself, and you know, I think he's at a stage now where he knows he's not going to be the first choice. And listen, I've said it before, mate. Every guy who plays football, everybody's got a shelf life, no matter where they are. Everybody has a shelf life, and unfortunately, the time will come for him to move on to pastures new, and that time, I'm afraid, is approaching sooner rather than later. But Baz, just coming back to yourself, mate, you mentioned the boy Yang. That's twice I've seen him now. I've seen him against Wolves, and I seen him last night. Not only I think is he very good technically, but he's a workhorse in terms of his running. I think he's going to be a massive. He's not as fast as Maeda, but he just doesn't stop running about. And I know on the text last night, mate, you were calling Bernabe wee Duracell because he's the same. He just doesn't stop running. Whether he's not having the best of games or no, he just will not stop running. You look at that one against Gamba Saka, he chases the ball down and wins the ball, takes the ball off a goal and scores. Again last night, the football, I thought, to be honest, guys, he's had an absolute doing as well. Of a big section of our supporters. And I thought last night, Alessandro Bernabe, I actually think that's probably his best game for Celtic so far in a Celtic jersey. I think last night he came into a game of his own. You look at some of the 1-2s he was playing, the knockoff for Matt O'Reilly for his goal was absolutely sensational. If that happens in the Champions League, guys, we're having a street party. Do you know what I mean? We're loving that because of the football that was played. But Baz, I just saying to yourself there, the boy Yang, I just think the boy's a workhorse. He just looks as if he's got bags of energy. And I think that on its own, without anything else, adding to his technical ability and anything else he does for the team, I think that on its own will be a big weapon for us moving forward, mate.
Aye, that impressed me last night as well about him. You very rarely see that. I know we're lucky now because we get Maeda as well, who's done it all his time at Celtic, but you don't really see wingers nowadays, especially technical wingers like Yang, helping the fullback. But he was unbelievable at it. I think it was Ralston that came on at the time and was playing behind him. And I don't know who they brought on, but the boy that they brought on, the wide left boy, looked quite dangerous. But he was back every time to help Ralston out. And I don't know if he's been told to do that or it's in his makeup, but he really impressed me with how hard he worked. Because if it's not gone for you the other way, technically, you're not doing the numbers going forward and you're putting a shift in helping your fullback, then you'll probably start more games than you don't. Because there's no doubt in his technical ability that's going to come, but there'll be games where he's a wee bit off it going forward. But if he's only do that going backwards, he'll get the shout ahead of some other players in that team. So he looks as if he's going to be a cracking signing. It'll be hard for him at first because you've obviously got Maeda and Abada who have come back, got two different animals this season as well. They've Dyson Maeda, to be honest, I wasn't his biggest fan. I loved him, how hard he worked, and I just felt technical wise, he probably let himself down a bit last season. And like we said, all that speed that he had, he never really, apart from Hibs where he cut inside, and he never really got his fullback up last season at all, really. This season, pre-season so far, I've seen to my dad and everybody, he's like a new signing. For me, right, he's the first name in the team sheet. Maybe him a toss up with him and Carter Vickers. But I think he's been unbelievable since he came back, and maybe that's Brendan as well. Probably looked at him, looked at his weaknesses and tried to work on it, and you can see definitely in pre-season that Dyson Maeda's got a lot better technically. There was an instance last night where the balls went out of his head and he's pulled it out the sky. He was kicking the ball out his park he was running the ball to play last season in games, but I don't know whether it's confidence, his hat-trick here in Japan, or I think he's been like a new signing this season. And if, like I said, he does the exact same as Yang, you know what you're going to get defensively. He's like 3 men at times defending for you. So if he can get better technically with his speed and how hard he works after the ball, he's going to be brilliant this season for us. So it's good that you've got wingers like that want to help your fullbacks, because that'll help us in Europe when we've not got as much of the ball and we need to sit in for spells. And you've got 2 willing wingers who are going to do the job going backwards for you. I think that could be a big plus for Celtic in Europe next season. I think in the past, with Jota, he probably never helped Greg Taylor a lot. He did towards the end of the season, but there was times in Europe where he was too slow to get back and you get punished. But I think with these wingers now, we've got wingers who are going to put a shift in and help their fullbacks, which is brilliant.
Yeah, I totally agree. Baz, I'll put this question to you. It's coming for the Facebook. It's a question that says, here's a question. Do you think Turnbull will excel in the number 10 role under Rodgers?
I've had it myself with a new manager coming at Sheffield Wednesday. Brendan Rodgers is a new manager. I know he's been there before, but he'll come in and he'll see things and he'll like things for people that Big Ange wasn't playing, or he'll see things and players that Big Ange was playing that he likes, but he'll want him to do a bit better. Like Maeda's probably worked on him technically. If you look at it and you look at Rodgers, he loves James Maddison, and Turnbull's probably our version of Maddison. He's always on the half turn. He's always trying to play forward. He's always trying to create. No to the level of Maddison, but Rodgers loved that type of player, clearly, at Leicester, because Maddison was his main man, his go-to man. And Turnbull's got the same attributes as Maddison for me. I think he's always a player that wants to take risks. He's always in the half turn. He might not have that blistering burst of speed like Maddison hasn't got it either. But I think it's a good time for Turnbull at Celtic. A lot of people would have missed Big Ange gone, but I think Turnbull's rubbing his hands because I think he'll have a right chance under Brendan Rodgers. I think Brendan will like him. You've obviously got Hatate, who's been playing there, but I've seen Hatate dropped in next to McGregor, and I think that's where I like Hatate, because for me, out of the 310s that Celtic have got potentially at the minute, and Hatate, Turnbull and O'Reilly, if you played every single one of them 38 games of the season, Turnbull scoring more goals than the other two quite comfortably for me. And as a number 10, that's what you want. You want goals and assists, and that's what you're based on. So I think he could be a dark horse this season. I think he could have a big season. I spoke about Haksabanovic maybe going to play there, but I don't know what's happened with him, but he's the only one that never really got a game last night. So I don't know if Brendan's come in, maybe he doesn't look as fit, or Brendan doesn't like, I don't know, there could be anything. But no, going back to the question of the guy there, I think Turnbull could have a big part to play under Brendan Rodgers this season, because going off what Brendan liked with Tom Rodgick and Maddison and people like that, I think Turnbull fits the mould perfectly.
I know. Listen, absolutely spot on. You've made me think about something there that I didn't. You think of something else, your head goes empty, and then you kind of forget. Because I think a lot of Celtic fans it's been easy to forget Turnbull, Ryan, in a way, because of the way he's not been playing. Like Baz says, he might not have been Angie's first pick, but he played him all the way up to that injury, and then all of a sudden he recruited Matt O'Reilly and Hatate, and then Turnbull fell out of the team. But obviously, getting back to the original point, Ryan, in terms of Yang being a big weapon, work rate, and then your thoughts on Turnbull, mate? What order you back to date, mate? It's entirely up to you, but...
I obviously Yang, I believe as much as you could be a good player, you have all the ability, if you're not going to be able to work hard, especially at the level of Celtic, then you're probably not used to the way we want to play, because you need to be a workhorse, you need to work hard, you need to defend. The strikers defend for the front, Maeda, Kyogo, Abada, the way they press, it gives the defensive midfield time to push up, and the full team just push up. So if that happens, then it's good for the team, and there's more chance of scoring goals within that. So the boy Jan, if he's on the best technically, if he's a workhorse like Bad says, and he's intense and he does all that, but he's asked for, he will get in the team. He will get in the team because he's a weapon. Maeda's a weapon, if it's European football especially, in my opinion, because he will defend more than Abada. He would have defended more than Jota. Abada, say to you, last season, Abada and Jota were getting better defending, but you can definitely see Maeda's better defensively. For me, Maeda's better defensively than maybe the rest of the wingers. I think Maeda's top, mate. I'm agreeing with Baz. I don't think he's the best technically, but maybe he's starting to get maybe he's peaking now. Maybe he's getting better. And I agree with Baz as well in terms of David Turnbull. A few players might be kind of happy Ange's left because they weren't playing. Guys like Haskeban, it's me getting their game time, maybe no if it's happened, but when Brendan first came in, even the boy O thinking might get more game time. So there's still loads of time for these guys to kind of show their mettle to the manager. But I've always liked Turnbull. Even when we first signed him, I thought like 3 million. I thought it was a bargain, because I was like, he'll sell for at least double that in 2 3 years time. And he probably would have if he didn't injured, because he was flying under Ange. He was playing every game, he was scoring goals, he was assisting. But what I like about him, JP, is I like the fact, like Baz said, he takes risks, he shoots for anywhere. He'll take a risk, he'll shoot. Sometimes we don't shoot. We like to pass it in the net. We like to, I'm not saying with Barcelona, but it's got to be a perfect goal. It's got to be that the neat down the corners. But like Baz says now, we're starting to take the ball forward. And I did say to you, Brendan is more possession based, but he's not at Ange, right? Get it wide, get it middle, get it forward. It's just get it wide and get it away. It's not this one, play it in, play it out. And I like that about Rodgers. He is more possession based, but you can see he's changing. I did say to you a few weeks ago, after the first 2 or 3 friendlies, that you can see wee tweaks already in the team. It was more possession based, but it was aggressive. It was quick. It wasn't the when he first kind of came, no, when he left these last few games. It was just kind of passive. It was just get the ball left, get it right, get it middle, right, get it forward. But now it's more intense. You can see there's changes. So I can agree with the Facebook comment and what Baz says. I think Turnbull could have a part to play, but I think it will depend on how Hatate, McGregor, or O'Reilly play, because if they play their own form, I think on behalf of anybody in the team, because they three are probably a three that you probably rely on every week. But the Polish boy, I did say to you last night that he did look solid, he did look comfortable. Yep. His passing was crisp, maybe not the best for the first goal, but overall I thought he could be happy with his debut. But Carter Vickers, mate, what an absolute... He's just a gorgeous centre-half, isn't he? He's absolutely brilliant. For me, is he the best centre-half he maybe had in the last 20 years, taking away Van Dijk. But what Van Dijk done at Celtic, could you possibly, I'll put that to you, Baz, has he done better than what Van Dijk done for us, for what he done at Celtic? No, as a player overall?
It's a hard one, isn't it? Obviously. You see, I think Van Dijk was playing with Celtic when Rangers weren't in the league, were they?
I think you're right, aye.
So it's less competition. Probably wasn't coming up against as good of players at that time, but Van Dijk was special when he used to run out, score 30-yarders and hit free kicks. But arguably defensively, there's probably no much in it, really. I think Carter Vickers is... You seen it when he got injured, when he took time out at the end of last season. The defence went completely for just him being injured. So it's... to be honest, that's how well he's done. We're mentioning him in the same sentence as Van Dijk, and arguably Van Dijk's one of the best defenders in the world right now. So it shows you how well Carter Vickers has done when he's getting mentioned alongside people like that. But for me, Van Dijk was special. You could see he was just coming with it. I remember was it St Johnstone away or something? And that's a centre half doing that. So I would probably say Van Dijk was better, but we've had Carter Vickers. He's been here when it's been Rangers have been trying to challenge us as well, which is harder. So I don't know. I'd probably go Van Dijk, but it shows you the job Carter Vickers has done that he's getting mentioned alongside Van Dijk.
Because for me, JP, like Baz says, I just think what he says about when we didn't capitulate, but we weren't on top when Vickers wasn't playing. And I said to you the other day, mate, that I do like Starfelt. I do think he's good, but I think I don't want to say he needs Vickers, but he plays better with Vickers because it's a partnership. It's continuity. They know each other's game. If one misses it, he'll get it. They cover each other. But I think if Nerowski was to play, I think Starfelt will miss it. But I don't think Nerowski's coming here to sit on the bench. I think he's come to challenge you too. I don't think JPB can afford to pay £4 million for a boy. And he's not coming to challenge because we've done it in the past with Ayeti, Barkas, we're paying good money for guys who didn't really come in and do much. But I do feel with this guy, JP, I get some of first impressions, but I like to think I've got a good judge, a player. Maybe no, but I like to think I can see a player. And I can see for him he's going to be decent. It might not be defensive-wise, we don't know yet, but on the ball, you can see he's comfortable. And I think JP, that's the way we're going to be playing. I think it's going to be playing for the back, get it wide, get it forward, and I think it was crucial. I think he's quick with the ball, and I think that's crucial. Starfield's a bit iffy because where he's playing, he's not that fitty, but Nerowski was getting the ball, it was crisp, and the ball was moving. For me, JP, I think that's vital, especially European football. You need to be quick to get past these teams, and I think that's a weapon as well.
Definitely, mate. I think the people in the comments are getting carried away when we're saying weapons, because I think we're meaning something else when we're saying the players are this and that. But no, you're spot on in terms of CCV. Listen, he was out for a couple of months, and not a couple of months, good few weeks, and probably was a couple of months when you look at it. And it looked like he'd never been away last night. He didn't even look rusty or no sharp or miles off it, or the way you've seen other players. I actually thought he did really well. I think one of the comments says, I know that, you know, we were a bit open at the time and they were only attacking. He made a great block, as did Nerowski. It's not an easy trait either to keep up with that lad. Williams and the big boy Nerowski got in front of him a couple of times and shepherded him away for the ball. And you know, the ball went out for a goal kick 1 or 2 times when the boy was running up in full pelt. So, but as I said, big CCVs, as Baz says, that's how good he is. We're talking about him now in the same light as Big Virgil. And I'm being honest with you, Big Virgil wasn't away us a long time. Big CCV's been with us for 2 seasons. One in loan and one in, obviously, as a full-time Celtic man. And I potentially think CCV's time as a Celtic player compared to Virgil's time, I think the big man's probably been better for me personally. I think Big Virgil, I still think Big Virgil jumped too quickly. I know, I think he maybe done a year or so in him at Celtic, and then he could have maybe missed out Southampton and go to sell, you know, that bigger move. But he wanted to go down and, you know, put himself in a shop one day and play in what they call the best league in the world. And in my opinion, the best league in the world, and Celtic totally dominated one of the teams for it just a few days ago, and Wolves as well. So again, it doesn't look like much of a gap. No, they call us a Mickey Mouse backward league up here, and you know, it doesn't look like there was much of a gap. And Saturday it looked like Wolves were hanging on for dear life, because Kyogo hit the bar, Hatate hitting the 4th post. Maeda had 1 or 2 chances. Abada. No, there was room there for Celtic to have walked away with 4 or 5 before Wolves even get near the score sheet. And then you look at the whole, was it a penalty? Was it, you know, story of our lives? Any time we're always winning in a game, you know, there's a dodgy somebody going down in the box near enough the end of the game, it's always going to go against us. We've seen it through the years, boys. Do you know what I mean? But in terms of the last night, I was more than pleased, especially with, you know, I've seen a lot of people say, you know, like the boy Quan, and me, I actually know guys personally, mate, that, you know, right away they said he's red rotten. I mean, if you're reading into that and he's going to, you know, people are going, red rotten, what chance have you got? Do you know what I mean? He was well just turning your light off and shutting your room Monday and singing a song to yourself or something like that. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's madness. Because everybody was buzzing when he came on against Wolves. And then he's went for that to being red rotten, and Celtic were red rotten, and then the second half you came out and you won the game, and you probably play a lot of nice football, as you've said yourself, lads, with the boy home. I thought he was really tidy, really impressed with him. But I'll tell you something, boys, we've not spoken about him. No, look at your faces now. I'm not even going to mention me, Oxo, and you're still ready to do a backflip or a backy, whatever it is you're sitting on. Calm down. I've not even mentioned him yet. Calm down. I'll leave the best to the end. Don't worry. But the one guy I was impressed with last night, and I've been impressed with throughout the whole of pre-season, he's probably going to be fed up with me saying this. I thought Big Liam Scales was outstanding, boys. I really did. I think his games went up a level, and maybe that. Baz, I'll come to you with this one. Maybe that loan deal with Aberdeen, apart from the Darvo result aside, has probably done him a world of good, mate.
Aye, well, I thought I was impressed with him last night as well. I know he played with Welsh against Wolves. Thought he was brilliant then. I only seen 30 minutes because I had my own game, but I thought he was really good that day as well. He said he's confident now, he's a lot fitter. He's had a season under his belt. Aberdeen, who done very well as well in Scotland last year. I think they finished third or something. So he's in a good season. His confidence is sky high, and you can see that. He's right now he's probably jumped Welsh, and Welsh get kept last season. But for me now, I think he probably gets in ahead of Welsh at the minute.
Yeah.
The way he's performed in pre-season. So, and it's always good because he's left footer, and it's hard to get a left-sided centre half nowadays in football. So he gives you that balance if you ever need that. But just going back to that Narocki thing there in Starfelt, do you think that he could play a 3-5-2 in Europe?
I've said to JP, I think we could play feet to back bus. I think Rodgers could do it. I think we've got the system to do it. We've got the players to do it. Obviously, midfield, we would need to determine who plays middle of the park. But you could play with two wing backs. But then, are you going to play with two wing backs to take two wingers out, or are you going to play with two wingers as full backs? So, but for me, I'm going to actually say aye, because I said to JP the other day actually that because of his signing, if Ralston wasn't fit or whatever, we could play Starfelt and Nerowski and Vickers a free back to the borough, especially in Scotland. I think in Scotland we could do it in the borough, and it gives you more ammo up top. I don't know what you feel, Baz, but I think that could be potentially Europe. At home, with the home, I don't know, but I think at home, if you're just say, I know every team is not a lesser team, but if it's maybe like I like to get a Shakhtar for last year in terms of your Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, probably no, but if it's one of them, I think you probably could, mate. Aye.
Because just going back to his Leicester team there, that was his formation for a long time at Leicester. Was the three at the back. So, and just thinking back to Celtic's campaign in Europe last season as well, every game Celtic played in Europe, they came out the box flying. Real Madrid at home, but then they get used to the formation and what you're doing, and then the teams were starting to take control of the game and take it away from us. So maybe he's watched that and thought, I'm going to need another formation at least to play, and if teams can read us that good. So I know he definitely played it for a long time at Leicester, and we bring in that boy in, and if I just can't see how they can drop Starfelt, to be honest, because he's been brilliant. That partnership speaks for itself, so it would be very, very hard done by. But like you said, I don't think they can bring a guy in at 4 million and justify not playing him. So I was just thinking there, and I think he might actually go to a free because it gets you 2 strikers, or you could go 3-4-3. It means you don't have to drop the wingers. It would just be a midfielder getting dropped in. You'd probably play a Tatty McGregor, Greg Taylor, Alistair Johnson when he's fit, and then you've got the 3 up front, Maeda, Kyogo, Abada, or whatever you want to do. So I think that could be something that Brendan's got up his sleeve. He's maybe working in it in training behind closed doors, and he might use it on Saturday.
See, as you're saying there, Baz, about the 3-5-2, that's quite interesting because I've spoke at length with a couple of people about this. I actually don't think Bernaby's a left back. So I think he'd be more suited to the wing back role. I think he'd be a lot more suited, but he can go on the ball, take people on and run and go and help either your 8 or your 7.5 or whatever it may be that you want to play with, or even your 10 he could support. And you seen last night, he's more than comfortable running in behind. So I really think he would be more suited to that sort of formation. It looks like Alistair Johnson. For me, he's going to be like Danny McGrain, mate. It doesn't matter. You just put a ball to him and he'll do what you want him to do. He's going to be well suited to any formation that Celtic play. I actually think he'd do well if he had to get goals for us. I really do. I think he's that type of player. I just think he's got that about him. I've said it all along. I think if he stays with Celtic, he's got the potential to be Celtic's modern day answer to what Danny McGrain brought to Celtic. Do you know what I mean? And what you hear people talking about, because I think the guy's just quality. He's aggressive. He's quick. He doesn't let much get by him either. If somebody beats him, he sets himself in a position where he goes, That's not happening to me again. I think who was it we played? Was it when we played Mob across the water? I think Kent went by him, but no through just purely skinning him. He just sort of went by him with a body movement. And then you seen the next time, he was waiting on it and he's got his body in front of him. So he was quick to read what was going to happen. So I think they two would be more suited to that as well. And obviously the three then it would actively allow Starfelt to play centrally.
Mm-hmm.
You could pull out Cameron Carter-Vickers to the right of that, and it looks like the big boy Narowski could play out, out quite comfortably as left centre back. Or if you didn't want to do that, you could even have Liam Scales at left centre back, because in my opinion, boys, watching the football nowadays, left-footed centre backs are very hard to come by. They really are. I mean, this is how crazy football's went, man. He just get relegated with Leicester, and it looks like Johnny Evans is just about to sign a year's contract for Manchester United. So, and why? Because he's a left-footed centre back, and he's comfortable with it. So, I think these guys are so hard to come by. I think that's why Celtic went and tried to, they went and got Kobayashi, because he's left-footed, and it's just unfortunate that he's, in my opinion, boys, I don't know about you, but I just find Big Kobayashi to be too lightweight and a bit weak to play in there now. I don't know whether maybe a loan deal would help that lad to maybe become more accustomed to playing maybe even in British football somewhere, where you have to be aggressive and tougher and a bit more quicker with your mind in terms of what you're going to do with the ball. Maybe in Japan he was getting a bit more time on the ball to dally and take that extra touch before he was getting pressed. But over here, man, you're getting shut down straight away or wiped out with somebody like a Curtis Main running at you. Do you know what I mean? So it's a lot tougher and a lot quicker. I just think Liam Scales is a bit more aggressive in his defending, especially in Japan. You seen him putting his head in about more things as well, boys. I really think that could be an option. I think you're spot on, Baz. I really do. Looking at that, especially in Japan, Rodgers did set up against Marinus with a 3-4-3. But what I've noticed with Celtic is when it comes to a second half under Rodgers so far, it's been a different thing altogether. So you're allowing teams to have the ball at a certain point, and then when they get to your half, you trigger something and you go and press, and then your shape becomes something. Myself and Ryan spoke at when we done my live event on Friday there, Baz. We spoke about this. When they've not got the ball, it's like a 4-2-3-1 they drop into. But you've got that sort of, like you say, that low to mid block as well, where they've got that tactical awareness now that if they've got the ball, we need to be here. And if we're not here, then we need to get ourselves into that shape to be there. So it's as if they're starting to work towards something like that. And Baz, I think you're spot on, mate. I think, especially Europe, for me, it doesn't matter who you're playing in Europe. You also need, for me, playing the Champions League, I think you need to play 2 to 3 different ways. So you need to know how to, if you're playing counter-attack, you need to know when to do it. And obviously, we've got guys in the team like Kyogo, like Maeda, Abada, guys that can get us up the pitch. One touch, balls, run the corner, bang, you're in. They can really hurt teams, but they need to do it in the right way. If you're playing in Europe, you need to be able to play 2 or 3 different ways. So if you've not got the ball, you need to be set in a certain way so that teams can't just play through you. When you have got the ball, you make sure you've got enough numbers and support so that you can get up and be ready for when you get the ball, when the transition comes. So, no, mate, I think a 3-5-2 could be something we see moving forward, mate. I think you're spot on.
I just think when you watch back to the last few Old Firms as well, under Ange, we had one way of playing and that was it. And it obviously served as well. He won 5 trophies, but against your top teams in Europe and then some of the games against Rangers, not that they sussed us out, but they made it more difficult for Celtic to play the way that they had been playing that whole season. And I just think that's where Brendan's probably got the edge on Ange. He's tactically got more up his sleeve. I think he's probably looked at his time at Leicester and not been happy as well and thought, how can I improve as a manager? He's probably took that time that he's been away. He's probably thought, well, I never really done as well as I wanted there. what can I do to improve for when I go into my next job? So I just think there's got to be we can't just go 4-3-3 and that's it, because good teams will suss you out and eventually find a way of stopping you. So I just think with the amount of centre-halves we've brought in and the amount of centre-halves they've got, I think that the 5 could be a strong chance, because you could even play it in Scotland as well and use, like Ryan said, wingers as the wide people and the free at the back defending with somebody sitting in front and just say to the rest on you go and enjoy yourselves. But I think in Europe, a 5's a good idea. We say it's a 3, but it'd be a 5 with wing backs with Alistair Johnson and probably Greg Taylor. And like you said, I think Celtic in Europe, as much as we don't want it, because we've seen the way Ange won, I think Celtic's squad, their strengths is a counter-attacking team. It's the biggest counter-attacking team in the country with the pace that they've got. So sometimes I think you just got to suck it up and actually realise, listen, we're not as good as this team. Or 90 minutes, sit in and break. And when that team break with the pace that they've got in the front line, it'll cause all sorts of problems for teams. The Ferguson Man United team was an unbelievable counter-attacking team with Giggs and people like that. So it's good enough for them. I think it's good enough for us. I think, like we said, we'll play our way last year. Now that's it. It's our way. But I think looking back, that was an Achilles heel as well in Europe, because as much as we don't want to hear it, we never done what we wanted in Europe. We played well at spells, but points-wise, same old story. So they've got to find a way of playing in Europe and actually getting points and getting through the group. And I think with that squad that he's got at the minute, I think it would be good to go to a 5 and try and hit teams in the counter, especially away from home. Parkhead, take the game to them, but away from home, sometimes you just got to swallow your pride and hang in there sometimes, counter. And with the pace that they've got, they would cause all sorts of problems, I think.
That's the thing now in modern day, Ryan. I think Baz is spot on there in terms of, causing problems, because we've got something that, a lot of teams do have it, but they don't have it in the abundance that we've got it. Guys like Bernaby's fast, Abada's fast, Maeda, Kyogo. You've now got, the boy Yang looks as if he's got a ton of speed as well. I'm led to believe that Tilio is obviously very fast as well, taking away what he can do as a footballer in terms of his, technical ability or what he's good at. He's got lightning pace. So, as Baz says here, I think a lot of people maybe not have thought of that in terms of going away from home in Europe and playing me a 5, because that's just no Celtic's way. But I think Baz is spot on, mate. If that's going to get you a result for that 1 or 2 away games that picks up the points that then negotiates you through the group, surely it's got to be an option for you to go at it. And as we said last night, mate, Celtic are going to be more possessional based now, but it looks like Brendan wants it when it goes into the 6, when it gets popped for a 5 or a 4 into the 6, it's like we saw last night, home, half turn, boom, and the ball's played forward. So it's played either through the centre or right forward out to the wing. And it's, right, let's go. But he's not only just getting energy to turn and dare at me, he's getting energy to then get on the end, whatever that may be further up, whether it be in the 8 or the 10. So again, mate, you need to be fit for that to come to fruition. And I think all that boding in, mate, that's where you can see Rodgers coaching this team.
I think with Rodgers, mate, the fact that he's got maybe a better team than the left, so he's able to do more with this team in terms of what he's want to coach.
Yeah.
His coaching ability can not get tested more, but he can put it out more because he can do more things with this team. I totally agree with I did say with JP that in terms of European football and just in general with Ange, I didn't want to say it because of how successful we've been, but he didn't really have a plan B. If the plan A didn't work, you're thinking, right, get the 5 sub on, but if the same 5 subs, the same guys coming off, and eventually it was kind of getting to the same way, right, okay, Gumbo's coming on, Haskell-Bannett's coming on, try and get a goal. But I think, for me, I've said to you, Jake, I did say that Rodgers can play 2 or 3 formations. He can play the 3-5-2, the 4-3, whatever. He can do all that. He's got all this in his armour. Like Baz says, he's done it at Leicester, even at Liverpool. He changed his formations, so he's very how do you say it? He's very
versatile.
Aye, he's versatile. That's why you're here, mate.
That's why I'm a gaffer, mate. That's why I'm here.
He can switch and change. For me, the game that I'll always get back to, and we'll probably all go back to, that shows for me why he's an elite manager. People might say, see the close to water, and other people in Scotland might not say he's elite, but in my opinion, he's elite. The game against that mob, when Edward came on, I think he took my shoulder off a defender and he put Edward on. That was frightening. Because most other managers...
Don't 10 men as well.
Aye, most managers would have put
Callum McGregor. Callum McGregor left back.
I think so, aye.
Aye.
And just try and shoot it up. But he didn't. He went gung-ho. And I loved it. And that was probably making Edward that goal. So he showed it in the past that he can do it. And I think he will continue to do it. But I've been screaming out for Celtic to play two up front since probably I was a Celtic fan. I love two up front. I think especially in Scotland, your one game is just about every week 3-4-0 with two up front, in my opinion. I know you need to respect your opponent. I get that. And every game isn't going to be 4 and 5 and 6. But with 3-5-2 with this team, with that attacking options, you're going to score every single week. You're going to score at least 2 at home. Because these teams are no good as you. They just can't. It's just the facts. They can't cope with the pace, the power, the ability. I want to try and be as respectful as I can because they need the right to win any game. But these guys must be looking at this changing room in the tunnel. Rodgers, your manager, and you're playing against these guys. Right away, you're like that. I'm up against it, and I know you don't want to think that as a player, but you would be because you're seeing who's playing.
Aye.
You've got guys who maybe knows like just for talk's sake, Saturday night. The boy Jordan White probably play up front because he'll probably play a 4-5-1 and he'll try and get the ball to him to play after scraps. He's a man mountain, but then he's got Vickers next to him. He's even bigger man mountain him. So the levels are totally different, but I totally give you Baz and yourself that I think the team takes care of itself in Scotland. They turn up, and if they turn up to the day game, any team will be very, very hard not to beat us. They'll need to play to their best, and we'll need to know be at anything maybe less than 70%. So, but European-wise, I wanted to do better. I wanted to... I know he's talking about these marquee signings and sticking to the model, but I think it'd be good to get a bit of a statement, a £5 or £6 million guy to come and help us in Europe because I think we need it. Experience for me. I don't know what you think, Baz, but we're technically nice. We're all very, very good in the ball. And
I've actually got a wee comment for you here, Ryan. I'm going to put to you in a second, mate. It's from Robert Baker on the YouTube, mate. Just what you're chatting about there. He said, sorry, but elite doesn't work for me. Elite is, to me, is a manager who wins top trophies in football.
He's won top trophies, in my opinion. No. He won the FA Cup down south. For me, that's a major trophy down England. And he beat Guardiola and all that to them. He beat all the managers down there to that. I know he won a Community Shield. People say it's not a trophy. Still a trophy. Still in the cabinet. He got Leicester twice. 5th, nearly Champions League. Bear in mind, he's not spending as much money as what all 18 are spending. I think it was 8th is the least it took him to until the last season when, in my opinion, it was Dean Smith that worked him down, no Rodgers, because I think if he stayed, they kept him up.
Yep.
Or the like guys like Madison, Baz spoke about him, raves about Rodgers, says he's been brilliant for him. So in my opinion, if these guys are saying that, in my opinion, you're elite. Just what he does, the way he talks, the way he handles himself, he's won trebles. He's done, in my opinion, it's just my opinion. We've all got different opinions, JP, what elite is. Guardiola, in my opinion, is not elite. He's past that. He's past elite. He's the best of the best, in my opinion. Yep. Mourinho, they're past elite. They're elite just down for that, in my opinion. And I think he's up that. He might not have the money that they've got, but in my opinion, for Celtic, he's elite. He's probably the best we can get right now, and he's probably the best manager suited to us. I don't know what you think, JP. Sorry, back to what I was saying to you, Baz here. I think we're too nice and I think we're too technical. We've got experience now playing it last year, but I think we're lacking a bit of experience to help us. And I don't know you. I know we're going to date, Baz, probably no, but would you think maybe something like that? Somebody who's, I know it's going to cost money, but somebody proven with experience to come in and help this team.
Oh, and I want to speak about that elite first. I don't think you need to win trophies to be elite because I've seen loads of managers making. You people say Pochettino was elite manager. He never won anything at Spurs, but he went on to PSG, so he was probably he's named as an elite manager, and then you've got De Zerbi at Brighton now, who a lot of people will say elite, no won anything. Just depends where you are. If you're at a big club, obviously Brendan was at Liverpool, hit the crossbar, should have really have won the league, then came up here, won everything. Like you said, went down to Leicester, who realistically probably shouldn't be really competing in trophies down in England, and won the FA Cup with Leicester. Obviously, I know Leicester won the league a couple of years before that and stuff like that, but he's definitely, I would say he's an elite manager, simply going off elite players who have spoken about him, who have worked under him, saying he's elite. With Luis Suarez, probably one of the best nines that we've seen in our lifetime in football, saying that he's elite and he's worked under the best. So he's definitely elite. There's different levels of elite, but he's an elite manager. There's obviously levels in the game, and he's not the best, but he's right up there with elite. Well, he was getting mentioned with Chelsea, Joe, going back to Chelsea before he came to us, Tottenham, Man United. He could have took, these are all like Man United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. He probably walked into that job at spells of his career so far. It's just probably the timing no helped him, but he's definitely elite. But then going on to Celtic being too nice, I just think, I would say probably a wee bit too nice footballers in the middle, rather than, like, we probably missed Scott Brown, to be honest, who a bit of dig, just putting his foot in and doing the nasty side of the game, which I think we miss in Europe. I've spoken about it before last year in the pod. I think we were a bit naive, just silly things that when teams are breaking on you, because we are gone gung-ho with Ange and teams are breaking, just pulling people down, clipping heels. We don't really do that because we've got players who are used to being on the ball and want the ball. So when we're off the ball, they've no get that mindset of, I should take him out here or I should pull him back here. Whereas Scott Brown was amazing at it. That was a big part of his game. So we've probably not really replaced him. I know we can say McGregor stepped into the captaincy, completely different players for me. Scott Brown managed a football game better than anybody I've seen at Celtic. Both sides, where he wanted to take the sting out the game, maybe get on the ball. If you were a backs were up against it, and he would smash somebody, he'd foul, or if the game needed a tackle to get everybody back up, he would be the one to go and do that. So we've not replaced him, and I think that's what we're missing in Europe, along with versatility and not being too easy to read how you're playing. But I think a big thing is being too nice as well. You need somebody in there who's going to destroy the game and sit in front of the back four or march their orders out and just be nasty and that side of it, like Bruni. And I think until we get that, we'll struggle, because, like I said, in Europe, you're going to surrender possession to some teams. It's just the way it is. It's how we're going to have to be. But that's when you need somebody sitting in front of that back four that can actually put their foot in. And McGregor, don't get me wrong, I think Cal McGregor's got everything. He can obviously win the ball back as well, reads the game very well, but that nasty streak, I don't really think he's got. He does put the odd tackle in, but I just think if you're in Europe, you need somebody who's not going to go about and smash people all over the place, but just tactically aware of what's going on when they're attacking and being able to snuff it out, really.
No, listen, I think he's a spot on. I'm going to make a wee comment in terms of the elite comment. For me, elite managers are winners. They're synonymous with winning. And Brendan Rodgers for Celtic is a winner. There's no other ways about it. He's a winner at Leicester. He won. He was successful with Swansea. You know, it was a slip away for winning the English Premier League with Liverpool. I've seen people mentioning in the comments here Carlo Ancelotti being an elite manager and try to obviously make that as a comparison to Rodgers. Carlo Ancelotti being an elite manager, but I don't know what he done at Everton, but he certainly didn't cover his selling glory there for a guy that's supposedly an elite manager to some of the comments.
JP, that's why I said it depends where you're at.
Yeah,
Because that's
yeah.
a prime example. One of
Yep.
the best managers ever in football goes to Everton.
Yeah. You look at Jose Mourinho and Conte, both from went to Tottenham and couldn't get a tune out of Tottenham. So again, you know, but in terms of elite managers, he's an elite football brain first and foremost. You just need to watch his football teams play. I don't know how many managers are in the game that have managed to win a treble invincibly in any league in the world. That you know,
There's like by stage IP. Some managers don't even win trophies. Don't win nothing.
There you go. You know, Pochettino, he's at Chelsea now. This guy's never won anything major. He started with Southampton, built his wee reputation there because they played some attractive football. He then went on to Tottenham, never won a thing. He's then went to PSG, and he's now at Chelsea. I think he was a manager at Soccer there periodically as well. So again, some managers are quite lucky and things that fall on their doorstep for them due to reputation. You look at anybody that doesn't think Brendan Rodgers is an elite football brain is, I mean, that's their own divine right to think that. Fair dues. To me, I think it's nuts because of the way he handles himself, the way he is. As Baz says, Ryan, I think you just need to look at some of the top coaches that, speak about him. I've even heard Guardiola speak about him. And, about how good he is as a manager and how good he is as a person. Jurgen Klopp is the same. He speaks about him very well. Brendan's up there. He's probably one of the best managers in Europe, if not the top British manager right now in the UK.
Well, like I said to you, when was it last night or the night before? Take away his last year at Leicester. We were all saying he was the best European manager about.
Yeah,
in Britain. He's the best British manager about.
Did he not get them into Champions League his first year? Did they finish in the top four?
I think the.
I'm sure it was fifth, wasn't it? Was it no fifth? Or did he take care of them when they had
See when they inherited, I'm sure they inherited a team that went into Europe as well, didn't they? So I can't remember.
He done the Champions League at Leicester, I'm sure.
I know he took them to the semi-final of the conference. I know it's the conference, but he still took a team to a semi-final European final. It's something we've not done in how long? So I know we've all got opinions, JP, but I think he's, like you say, mate, he's got an elite football brain. He's tactically aware. He's probably better tactically wise than Ange. And by all accounts, people are saying he could potentially be better than Ange.
Very good comment here for Patrick McLaughlin, boys. And he says, it wasn't that long ago that Brendan Rodgers was favourites for England job when Southgate's Jacob was on a shaky nail last year when they never done too well in the last Nations League. But listen, we don't need to know how good Brendan is. We already know how good he was because of what he's done for us in the past. You go and speak to anybody if you're fortunate to do so, who have either worked beside him, worked under him, even coached with him. The guys like even Mark Warburton, guys that have been in the game a long time. Again, guys like your man at Everton just now, Sean Dyche, they've all coached around about him. These guys know what they're talking about in the game, and they know the game. And for Brendan to have managed and been successful with that Leicester team, for me, puts him in an elite bracket alone before he even take into what he done at Celtic the last time in terms of winning trophies. Brendan's a man that, in my opinion, he made Celtic winning trebles the new norm. We won a treble invincibly. He then backed that up with winning another treble. He then backed that up with putting us in a great position. We had the League Cup wrapped up. He put us in a great position to win the league, and we were still in the Scottish Cup when he left us. So, and then fortunately we went on and completed that treble. And then Neil Lennon inherited the squad and added wee bits and bobs to himself. And we then went on and won a fourth treble, a quadruple treble in a row. So Brendan Rodgers put us in that sort of bracket to make that a possibility. Ange came in and built a side very, very quickly. And he's done the same thing. we went on and we won a double in the first season, and then this last season there we won a treble again. So we've won 5 trebles out of the last 7 years. If anyone doesn't think we have been privileged over the last, I would say, even 10 years, then it's mental. It's crazy.
But if you go on some of the stuff already this season, that didn't happen last season.
No. It's as if we didn't win a treble. But obviously, finishing up, guys, we're obviously coming to the end. Baz, I'll come to you first, mate. We'll do a couple of wee predictions. So
right.
we'll do your top goal scorer. Now, bearing in mind, this is just for Celtic, okay? So this isn't the rest of the league or anybody else that's here. So we'll do your top goal scorer and obviously your player of the years. Already, who's in your kind of running for that, would you say?
Top goal scorer, I'm going to go the obvious. I can't see anybody getting close to him. I think he'll be the top scorer in the league.
I think Greg Taylor will score a barrel. I don't know, mate. Definitely.
There you go. No, I think the wee man up front will touch wood if he stays fit. He'll beat last season comfortably.
Yeah.
I've seen flashes already this pre-season of like even better than last year, because like I said, last year he started to get me, I was getting annoyed at him a bit because I just think there was more to him than he was shown last year, but he might have been under managers, like the manager's telling him to stay up. But I think his all-round game, he can drop in, he can link it up, he can play people in, and I've seen that in pre-season, so I just think he'll have a better season than he did last year if he stays injury-free. I know talking about shoulder ops and things like that, but if he stays injury-free, I think he'll won the Golden Boot quite easily in Scotland this season again. And then player of the year, it's going to be hard to, it's probably going to be him again. I would say probably him or Alistair Johnson, maybe.
Oh,
As a dark horse. I think Brendan will love him. He's got a style of play that Brendan will love. But I think normally player of the years, it's always the guys who take the plaudits, and that'll be the wee man up front probably. But I fancy, as I said earlier in the pod there, I think David Turnbull will be a dark horse for a big season for Celtic. And I hope so as well, because I've met him a few times and I know he loves being at Celtic, even when under Big Ange, when he wasn't playing, he loved it. So I hope the tables turn and he gets a bit of luck this season and has a big season for them.
Good shout, mate. Ryan, what's your thoughts, mate, in terms of that? Can you see any of the new boys maybe even staking a claim, or do you think it's going to be the usual suspects?
I think up front, I think in terms of not just Celtic, I think just in terms of the league, you can't look past Kyogo. Just what we've seen so far for the other teams in the league, even the signings other mob have made, they've not really done pre-season yet, they've not hit the heights yet at all. The only guy I think that might do well for him is Danilo if he's been given a chance, but I don't think they'll be creating as much as we will. So I think Kyogo's just easily going to look the flower, like Baz says. The amount of chances he missed last year and the amount of goals he scored with that's scary what he can potentially do. I'm not going to say up to Larson heights in terms of, but it's possible. Anything's possible in football, JP. Like I say to you,
I think he's real Larson, isn't he?
What's that? Where?
I think he's real Larson. He'll know about his height. No, definitely. No, he's real Larson, isn't he?
Aye.
Is it 53?
He's tiny.
Was Larson 53 goals?
Aye.
53
that season, aye. Nothing.
Just after breaking his leg, I know.
Amazing. Nothing's impossible in football, JP. You can score a goal for a minute. Nothing's impossible. So I've realised that now I'm getting older now that anything, even if you're 1-0 behind a minute to go, you can always get 2 goals back. Football's a crazy game, mate. So we're all going to be Baz. Kyogo's probably going to wait the flare. I'll be very surprised unless he's injured that he'll just probably score about every game nearly.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with Carter Vickers. If he's fully fit and plays every week, I think he'll be the standout in terms of player of the year. But like I say, you probably pick anybody in Celtic because we're the best team in the country as it stands at the moment. And you like to think they're going to progress even more next year. But I think Vickers was unlucky not to get it last year. So I think he'll get it this year, in my opinion, because I think Rangers, their team, I think they will try and bully us in the games. I think that's what they're built for this year. I don't think you'll see a lot of football in the park, so I think he might need to do a bit of defending against them in terms of the boys up front. I think they'll be more physical, they'll get the long balls, play after scraps. I think that's what it'll be, all about bullying. Us, I don't think it'll be football on the carpet. Again, we'll see that in September, but I'm going to say Vickers, mate.
Oh, big shout, man. Big shout. I'm going to agree with both of you here. I think the wee man's definitely a shoe-in for that again, top scorer. I think he's unbelievable. I'm going to put my neck on the line and probably put myself out there to be shot at again, but I think he's the best since Larsson. I really do. I think he's been absolutely sensational. See if he has a season in the Champions League and he scores goals for us, you've got to kind of put him in that bracket up there with guys like Larsson, because Larsson was able, as you know, to hit the big stage for us as well. And domestically, Kyogo scored a lot of big important goals for us, and he's able to now score against, you know, the mob across the water. So I think if he can do it in Europe for his that's the next one. I know he done it in the Europa League. He scored a couple of goals. The ones against Ferencváros, and but if he does it in the Champions League for us and he manages to bang in a couple of goals, I think the wee man's definitely, he'll then cement that for me in terms of being the best since Henrik, definitely. Because I think his overall movement is probably the best I've seen for the last 15 years, easily. Not just that, he's pressing ability and everything else combined. I thought he should have scored last night as well. He's kind of glitched at it, but you know, I think I think he'd more time as well than probably he thought he did as well. As soon as he controls it, he's right. He hits it with his left, but I think he'd more time. But again, I think the wee man's a shoe-in for that. Player of the year, I'm probably going to. I think Matt O'Reilly will have a big season this season for Celtic. I think Matt O'Reilly could potentially be a Stuart Armstrong under Brendan Rodgers. That we've maybe, in my opinion, I don't think we've replaced Stuart. Personally, with that running power and the goals you can get, and I think Brendan could probably coach Matt O'Reilly into being that type of player. Maybe not the running ability, but the goals, being able to use that left foot and turn it into a sort of wand. Because there was a couple of times last season, even the game at Ibrox, we lost the last game, he's tried to dink the goalkeeper. Again, under Brendan, wee bit more aware, certain situations, he rolls it under him and balls away, it's a goal. Do you know what I mean? There's just that wee moment of, I know you've only got a split second when you're in the moments, but what Brendan's good at, he's good at getting you in a session where, he can coach that in you. So you've got that inability to then go, I'll take that ball in a wee touch and I'll go around the goalkeeper, or I'll, bypass, or I'll even try and square the pass for maybe a bad running or whatever. But no, I think Matt O'Reilly could potentially have a big season for us. And then obviously the most improved player, I think definitely you're probably looking at maybe somebody like Liam Scales coming in with the technical players that we've got, and again maybe taking his game up another level, because he's got the potential. He's a young lad. Again, being coached, playing beside guys like Carter Vickers, guys like Starfelt, guys have done well for Celtic. Even the Polish boy, the big Narowski, these guys are technically good. So you put him in beside these boys. It's only obvious. If you're not getting better, then you're in the wrong. For me, you're in the wrong profession. Because there's certain players, like your Gary Mackay-Stevens, there's a perfect example, could only go to a certain level, and then you sort of stay static, and you look where Gary is now. I mean, his career's now went the other way, because he's not been playing, and he's not getting that regular game time he used to get at Dundee United. So you get players like that every so often. I don't think Liam Scales is one of them, because the reason I'm saying that is because he showed improvement already. from being out on loan to Aberdeen. Again, the Darvel result aside, I thought he had a good season. And he's probably up there for goal of the season last season with that goal against the other mob across the water, especially the one at Pittodrie. And he's claiming he meant it, so I'll take his word for that. And well, hats off to him. But no, guys, listen, I know it's all about opinions, and I know it's all about, people have got different perspectives. You can ask me, sit 3 guys in one room and say to them, right, how did you take that game? Well, I'll say something different. Even me and you done it the other day, Ryan. You thought Greg Taylor get found wanting against Wolves, whereas I thought he was okay. It took him a wee while to grow into the game, a bit like one or two others, but then he was okay. But again, you could do that with most guys, and I think you'll get different opinions for different people. It would be a dead boring world, guys, I think, if we agreed on everything and what everybody says. So that's what makes the beauty of it, and the beautiful game that we all love. But listen, that's all we've got time for tonight, folks, I'm afraid. Just before we go, a couple of things, guys. Just to let you all know that, again, guys, they are on auction at the moment. With Baza being here at the moment, I'll put this up and out. Baza has donated his playoff, cup final, championship promotion boots that he wore at Wembley, and we have them in our possession. There we go, nice wee autograph on them there from Baza. We started the auction, folks, on Monday. It started off at £250. The auction now sits, the bidding now sits at £310. The auction will run, guys, until the end of the transfer window, midnight on the 31st of August. So anybody want to bid for these, please get in contact with these guys. You know how to do it. Any forms of the social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can message the page, or you can message myself and Ryan individually. Ryan, is there anything you want to add to that before I move on to the next point?
No, like I say, it's probably more for the Sheffield Wednesday fans, to be honest with you, JP. But in general, mate, it's a piece of history, mate. It's no stuff you can buy in the shops. Baz's kind of days, and it's something that doesn't happen very often. That sort of like what you like to call your memorabilia these days. You don't really get it often, mate, and it's a special piece of the club's history. And I like to think, for me anyway, if I was a Celtic fan and that was my captain, I'd be really glad to buy it, because it's something you can't get often, mate. So it's an amazing gesture for Baz, and I'd imagine it'll be nice for somebody's life as well, mate. So if anybody does want to get in contact, like JP says, get in contact with us on all the social media platforms, and we'll get your name sorted for that.
And you can also message us in the community section of the YouTube channel as well. All you need to do is click on my wee icon. I'll take you into the YouTube channel. Just go to community and you can message what the last post was there. We can get your message through that as well. Guys, obviously, before we go, a couple of other wee things. Just to let you all know, people that maybe didn't know tuning in for the first time, this podcast is now sponsored by AB Entertainment. Now, AB Entertainment is run by Mr. Alec Beveridge. He was in the comments earlier, and he is a DJ. So he's the finest entertainment man I probably could think of in the East End. Right, I'm not just saying that. We've had first-hand experience of it. Our first wee live event on Friday, mate. And I don't think we stopped laughing all night, mate. Just wee jokes and, quirks and the way he went about it. But he caters for every sort of function you can think of, guys. Weddings, communion parties, christening parties, garden parties, engagement parties, double denim parties,
treble parties,
aye, title winning day parties. Yep, he does them all, and the banner tells you that as well. The big banner that I put up on Friday. If you don't believe me, just go and have a look. But as I said, guys, Mr. Alec Beveridge, that is the phone number there, folks, for you to contact. It was on the screen just there. I'll put it back up one more time. There we are. Again, Ryan, is there anything else you would like to add to that, mate? If I missed out anything?
No, like you say, mate, he's a top guy. He's not just a Celtic fan, but it does make people's nights extra special. People think DJs just spin decks, they just kind of speak to Mike and stuff, but he actually makes you feel right. And Friday was brilliant. He made us laugh, and he was getting people involved. And maybe some of the jokes were a wee bit over the top, but it's banter and it's brilliant, and it does make your night, mate, when you've got somebody who gets the public involved, because some DJs just literally just sit with a mic and don't do nothing. So he's definitely makes your night worthwhile, and he's a cracking guy as well, mate.
Absolutely, mate. Summed it up perfectly there. Guys, as you can see now on the running bar, the Celtic Unrestricted View have now got some merchandise. So we've got mugs and we've got keyrings. This here is what the mugs look like. So that's one side of the mug. The mug's obviously printed in vinyl as well, guys. There's quite a lot of detail in these. So as I say, they are set there. So as you can see, we've got the crest and the Celtic Unrestricted View podcast logo. The mugs are set at £5, guys. Again, anyone that wants one, please get in contact with us about that. And we can get that organised to get sent to you. We've also got some keyrings, guys, as well. There's our keyrings. That's one side. And again, we've got a Celtic Unrestricted View podcast logo on the other side. Again, guys, they're set at £1.50. If anybody wants to get their hands on any of the merchandise, again, please reach out to us, get in contact with us, and we can get that arranged for you. And as you can see, folks, the mugs are nice and wrapped up perfectly for you, nice bubble wrap with an inside lining of wrap as well. Again, Ryan, is there anything you want to add to that, mate?
All good, mate. I'm all good. Just enjoy the show again, mate. Good to get Baz back on as well permanently. Like I say, you always come off a podcast with him, mate, and you think about different things. And 1 minute I'm saying McGregor's this, and Satati, and the other thing about other things. And it's just good to get insights like guys involved in the game, JP. And we think we're right, and we think we know the game. But when you listen to guys like Baz, you've got to kind of take note there in the game. They know these guys, they know the ins and outs of football, mate. So it's not just good for us, but it's also good for the guys that listen as well to get a bigger insight than it would be me or you or obviously Aaron on our night. It's a different outset, mate. So again, good chat to Baz again, mate, and brilliant podcast again.
Absolutely fantastic. And also, you missed out the part that we actually teach Baz a thing or two about football as well. He only stands in the part and plays. We see things for a distance. No, I'm only kidding. But no, his knowledge is invaluable, mate, which is why we're delighted to have him on board permanently now on a weekly basis. So again, it's been superb. You've done really well in your debut, mate. Superb, and it's nice to see your face level ways this time rather than looking you upside down.
Aye, my phone's right. I've upgraded.
No phones are right. We're upgraded. He's started it well, Ryan. He's football monitoring balls telling me in my ear it was Gavin Strachan that gave him Lenny's laptop tonight. So we're in there, we're sorted and we're ready to go. So that was good to hear. But listen, guys, again, it's been a total pleasure. We move on. Again, Baz, best of luck to yourself, mate. I know you have got again, this is how much the man himself is. But Ryan, he comes on to us in a busy week for himself because his team are ready to kick off their time back in the Championship again to Southampton on Friday night, guys. So again, it tells you more about Baz and probably what meets the eye and what type of guy he is. He's given up his time to come and have a chat with two
addicts.
Well, I'll let you fill in the blanks there, Ryan. Two guys for the East End of Glasgow. That's not what I was going to say, but I'll keep it clean.
A guy does double denim at 10:30 shows.
Guy does double denim. We need to see it again, didn't we? We need to show them again. There we go. Look, how can that not get you up for a 10:30 show? Come on.
I need to get that sent to my phone. I need that for
God, man. Honestly, that's like telling you. I put it up. See before you play Southampton on Friday, get it up in the dressing room, Buzz. That's the team talk right there, man. That get all the boys buzzing. I'm telling you, man. Welcome back to the Championship. There's Mr. Happy Face ready for you outside the Savoy. Here's what you could have had if you got a victory.
Aye.
Oh, no.
Brilliant, man.
I don't know if it's worse if it's Ryan with a pair of football boots or he actually looks like Shakin' Stevens going to one of his gigs there.
I've got a big after shake anyway, so.
But no, guys, listen. Aye. All the best, as I said, Baz, for Friday, mate. I will be watching, definitely tuning in. And as I say, we'll chat again next week when you're on, Baz. Hail, hail, mate.
One of the
Thanks
best,
a lot,
Bash.
lad. Cheers.
Cheers, lads. Hail, hail.